You're watching The View. The G-View. Entertainment for you. Interviews, previews, and reviews. GVIEWTV.com.
It's Friday night. We're live here in studio. We got a special guest in studio. We have the iconic, Toronto's legendary, Mr. Ron Nelson. Good night.
Blessings.
Shake my hand. You know we know each other well.
Good to be here.
Although I hug women, I don't shake their hands.
Yeah.
But
Well, Ron, you know, you came into the studio and we almost didn't recognize you. So, you know, the first thing we have to talk about is, you know, the new look. What happened?
What are you talking about?
What happened? Where's the hair? Where did it go?
I have ear on my head.
Where is it?
You mean the dreads?
The dreads.
Oh, well, honestly,
How long did you have them for?
Probably around 12 years, something like that.
Okay. And it became your statement piece, and now it's gone.
Well, it's almost like cleansing for me. You know what? I've cut my hair once before
I was going to say, I
and
remember
let
when
it
you
regrow.
trimmed. Yeah.
As I'm getting older now, a little more gray, a lot more gray actually.
Okay.
And with the dreads, I started getting a little bald spot right here.
Yes,
But
it was heavy.
with the dreads, you notice it. Not as much as Beanie Man's bald spot or anything, but you notice it, right? So keep my hair low now, you don't really notice it that much. You know, it's just like that. Yeah. I need a haircut too. I gotta go check my barber soon. But you called me last minute, so I'm just
That's
calling.
okay, Ron. Like I said, yeah.
Don't care what nobody thinks.
It was a last minute. You know, we've been having
gray hair, though.
the last few weeks. We've had a few of the DJs in from Toronto.
Yeah, I saw last night.
Right. So
week's
we
show.
had Zex in a few weeks ago, and we had Mystic in a few weeks ago. And I said, you know, it's only fitting to bring Ron in because you know Ron always has an opinion, and normally he has his pulse on what's happening in the scene here in Canada. So I want to start by saying, you know, Ron Nelson has been instrumental in the reggae scene and especially on the Sound Clash scene. You went from doing the Reggae Mania radio and that's no longer on the air. So, you know, there's a void there that we're missing, that the sounds don't get to come into Ron's studio and have that freedom that they used to.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of voids in Toronto.
Yes.
I mean, even in the hip-hop scene, there's still not a lot of performance opportunity for artists.
You did
know what I
start
mean?
on that side also.
Yeah, and it was the same problem then that exists now. You know, our artists here are struggling because there's not enough opportunity. There's not a good infrastructure here to support those artists. Sound systems, unfortunately, are stagnant. Like once I switched over from hip-hop to reggae and dancehall, you know, I remember people like Ricky Turbo excited, Ron, now you're going to come in and fix dancehall. And the word fix is something that has been an impossibility. You can't fix dancehall. Dancehall's natural element is to remain raw and untamed, you know what I mean, and uncultivated. That's how it thrives, it seems. So I can't fix anything. I just kind of did my time in dancehall, whereas in hip-hop I more or less established a few things that was pioneering and kind of set up the blueprint a little bit, you know?
Okay.
So I understand dancehall because dancehall and hip-hop have a lot of common denominators in their origins, you know what I mean? They're both ghetto people music. It's both the story of struggle and hardship, and it's an expression that allows people to get out of the ghetto, at least in the mindset anyway, when they listen to the music and vibe to the songs and vibe to what the artists are saying, and the rest of the world is there to see it.
Okay. So how many clashes have you yourself, Mr. Ron Nelson, put on or been a part of?
Probably I don't know, at least a couple of dozen over the years. You know, you can only do a couple of clashes a year, right? Maybe 3 or something, because clashes, first of all, most of them are not profitable, so you can only give so much of your time to the business. Sound Clash people will take from you everything that you can possibly give them, and they'll say, keep giving it to me, and they're not going to worry about you if you lose $20,000 in one night. It's not their business. They're going to say, oh well, and move on to the next thing. And the sound systems that spend $20,000 preparing for one clash, if they lose, again, nobody feels sorry for them. But the reality is, the older you grow, the more you have to take on life responsibilities. So it matters to me now to be able to, you know, keep myself kind of above ground. And before, when I was teaching at a university, I put a lot of the money that I made back into the Sound Clash industry. I'm not teaching anymore, so I have to watch my money a little more carefully now. So my recklessness to just dive into dancehall culture and sound clash culture and stay there and live there and basically live the life on the streets, and every phone call you get is from a sound man or a promoter or, you know, somebody in the business. It's not really my life at this point in time. I'm kind of settling from it just a little bit, just to give myself, you know, a little break, a little restart. So the dreadlocks being gone, it's symbolic of a refresh. I used to smoke weed every day. I smoke weed maybe once every month now. You know what I mean? It's
really?
like, yeah, I switched it up.
I'm
I needed to
Rob.
save that money that I was spending. You know, I don't sell it. I'm a consumer,
It's
so
an
now it's
expensive
like,
lifestyle.
yeah. It adds up, and it's cool and everything. They legalize it now, so big up all the Rastaman out there that are the true revolutionaries. You know, the game changers. And now the government is the biggest drug dealer we have in Canada. So that's, like I said, world of hypocrisy, and that's how we live.
At its finest.
Okay, so
You know?
bringing this forward now, I've seen you make quite a few comments out there, so I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you.
Sure.
So what does the average sound charge to clash?
Well,
Being in the business over the years, what would be your average, would you say?
okay, so there's no average. There's a scale, but there's not really an average. Your price depends on your ratings at the time.
Okay.
You can charge anywhere. Let's say a lot of the Toronto sounds right now that we know and love. We deal with them every day. Some of them will clash for $1,500. Some of them will take $1,000.
Call names, Ron.
Some of them.
We know Ron
You
to call
just
names.
throw names at me. I'll tell you if I call them and I said, look,
Richie.
I want a one-on-one with you on the next sound. That's how it's going to go. I'm going to be able to negotiate a price, because some sounds know what they're worth, and others you have to kind of tell them what they're worth. And the dinosaur sounds, they're stubborn right now. They stick to their price. Like we all know about the Bass Odyssey switching it up and charging $6,000 at one point, whereas before you could get them for $3,000 US. But they give it to you now. Basically it's a setup. Me a promoter, me a call a sound, everything nice. Yeah, man, why you clash this person, that person? But the last thing in the conversation will be how much. And sometimes when they say how much, you have to just say, sorry, it can't work. Because every event has a budget. And, you know, I'm used to doing ridiculous events where, you know, we'll have clashes that have budgets of like $40,000 for,
Yes.
you know, I've worked with Chin before and put on the Canada World Clash. We can be guilty of spending a lot of money, but at some point in time, it becomes irresponsible for a promoter to do an event if you're not going to make that money, but no matter how much liquor you sell or how much you
Especially
price
if
it
it's
to
not a
go.
clash. Like you used to do the Dubs Half a Night series, which was not a clash. It was more of a showcase series, and I know the budget for that was through the roof.
Yeah. But again, when you're passionate about something and you want to help drive a market, you do things like that. And you do it because your brethren are in it and you want to help them. You want to bust sound, bust youth kind of thing. So to me, I didn't care about the logistics then of investing my money in Sound Clash. But like I said, as you get older, you have to keep a roof above your head, and you have a mortgage to look out for. You have children, you have family, you have responsibilities. So I could not afford to keep going down that reckless street of living by promotions alone. I'm still addicted to it, like most promoters.
So you're still attending the sound clashes?
Not as much. I'm getting a little bit of a. I need a little bit of a break right now before I go back into it fully. You know, if you're gonna refresh, sometimes you have to take yourself out of something. But I'm still a fan of Sound Clash, so I'm withdrawing a little bit personally, my own vigor, but it doesn't mean I don't love everything else that I'm seeing in terms of sounds trying to progress.
So with the withdrawing, do you still do a little bit of promotion, some promotion, or just?
At the moment, no. The last event that I promoted was fully loaded, and
2 years
I didn't make any money off that. That was discouraging because it took up months of my time. You know, and my time is worth money. And when I'm not working, you're working, and you're making money. I don't care if you make minimum wage, but I'm getting zero for sitting there and trying to be this Clash Commissioner of Canada, this ambassador, this promoter, whatever.
Icon.
You know, icon, whatever you want to call it, but you dedicate your life to it. So I want to big up all the promoters who understand what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? When you have to be a promoter, there's no school for promotions. It's a very hard thing to do. And sometimes if you've got nothing else going for you, that's when them say, man, come out of jail and step right into promoter shoes. You know what I mean? You don't need a license to be a promoter. But if you gamble with your own money, that you work for legitimately. I haven't sold drugs or guns or anything illegal. With all the money that I've put into dancehall, I've made legally. So when I lose that money, it hurts. Some people, they have money, drug money, whatever, they can go on and do the next thing after that, good for them, but I'm not one of those people.
Richie?
Ron, where do you see, cause me, every week almost we talk about it, where do you see one, the Clash world overall? Like, is it as profitable, as noticeable? Can it build careers the way it built the Tony Matarons and the Squingies and the Ricky Troopers? Can it still do that in today's day and age, both internationally and Canada? Where do you see the Clash market in Canada right now? Is it like, if a young sound came to you and said, I want to be a Clash sound, would you advise them yes or no?
Okay, first of all, that's a very good question. Okay, so Clash doesn't stand still. It keeps changing all the time. I think if somebody asked me that question, I would have to say, you know, it's 50-50. If you're going to do it, then be prepared to put it's like going in the army and being drafted. You'll have to put in your 5 years or 10 years before you can evaluate whether it's the right thing to do. But because I'm a parent, I don't believe in stopping people from going after their dreams. You know, I would like to support people, because if they're building a sound, they're staying out of prison. You know, they're not on the streets committing crime. They're not in a gang. Hopefully, anyway, they're not doing as much grimy things that the street makes you do, that makes ghetto youths do anyway. So Sound Clash is a way of kind of allowing people, just like hip hop and the breakdancing and the rapping and the battling and stuff like that. It was a way of turning negative energy into an artistic element, and it allows you to outlet and do it in a non-criminal, non-violent way. So I think Sound Clash is a healthy thing for some people who have that natural ability to be good MCs. Canada has superstars right now, and because we're so used to the backfighting and backbiting and things like that, we don't give our own artists credit like we should.
Who are some of the superstars?
Some of the superstars, I think some of my favorite superstars are like Newbie from Rebel Tone, Polyphamous, you know, Mystic, I give them credit as well. Black Reaction for sure. I mean, I think I just named 4 world-class champions in a row as some of the best superstars what we have. But we have superstars living above us right now, living amongst us right now. They're young and thriving, and they probably get more credit from the rest of the world than they get right here. To answer your question even more, I think Sound Clash is in a little bit of danger right now, not of becoming obsolete, but there's a few issues with it. So let's look at Irish and Chin, for example. At one point, he was feeding the dinosaur sounds, the iconic sounds, as we call them, you know, the Bass Odysseys, the Ricky Troopers, Kilimanjaros, et cetera, et cetera. And out of all the promoters in the world, the best concept for Sound Clash came from Irish and Chin, which is World Clash. There's no better title. I don't care what anyone else does in Sound Clash. That World Clash name alone is perfect for the brand, and the sound systems at one point bought into it. But I think what happened is a lot of them grew up and they realized that, you know, there's something not fair going on. There's a little bit of exploitation, which I could take more time to go into, but I won't go into it too much. So that legacy, that generation of sounds eventually were abandoned, and we move on to the new school of sounds now, where World Clash is more accommodating them, the new generation, right?
The rise of a new champion.
The rise of a new champion. So I think what happened is Sound Clash is in danger right now because it's too expensive. It's not just venues that are expensive. It's not just dub plates that are expensive.
The sound
but
systems.
the sound systems, the prices Clash Sounds need to, as a promoter, you have to put a budget together before you decide if you can feed the people an event that's exciting. I like to do events with 4 big sounds from different territories, but when you add up the numbers and stuff like that, it doesn't add up. So that whole thing that Mystic is going through right now about them being world-class champion and
not
sounds not wanting to pay the money that they think they're worth. It's a very interesting study for me, because what does a world-class championship mean now? I think the whole title has become diluted a little bit. And again, I'm going back to what I said. The best thing that Sound Clash has to offer in terms of a concept that can promote sounds moving forward is world clash. I'll give Chin his props for that, right? But people have figured it out that, you know, to be world-class championship, to be a world-class champion today does not necessarily mean what it did when you're world-class champion before. You're fighting against sounds that are young and uprising. And if you win, does that really mean you're the best sound in the world? Because there's a whole other level of sound system out there, and we're almost disrespecting them by keeping them out of the competitions. You know what I mean? It's nice to feed a new generation of sound systems, and there's a lot of reasons why that's good. But when Newbie in 2002 went up against, you know, the big giant sounds, it's arguable that who do you give more credit to? You give more credit to Mystic or King Turbo for their last world-class championships, where it was new generation sounds that they killed? Or do you say, well, you know what, in terms of the level of difficulty, can we give Rebel Tone even more credit? Because he won without a biased Canadian audience, which is what everyone is claiming is some of the reasons why we won. It was in New York. And he beat out the big sounds as an underdog little sound man from Canada that hardly anybody knew about. So again, today it's going to come to a point now where the sounds here are also going to start getting an attitude too, and say, yeah, the world class, what's it really doing for us? What's it supposed to do for Mystic? You made some points on your last show. You said, what do you get when you're world class champion? That I've been keeping that off the record, and I've talked to King Turbo, I've talked to Mystic, and I've asked them, do you even get like a $5,000 star? Them not answer, right? If the promoter walk out with $50,000 and then give you 10%, that would be $5,000. So when you sign your contract, don't you even get a 5%, which would be $2,500 on top of whatever money you were paid to? It seems like, no. You can't do that with the Matrons of the world anymore. Matron's got to go suck you, whatever, you know what I mean? Because he can do the math and figure out that when promoters bid, they're supposed to give something back to the sound. But
so isn't the sounds earning that title that you're saying that that's not enough?
The sounds, the only thing that, from what I've understood, and I see your little smile there, the only thing that the sounds are getting is the notoriety and the supposed opportunity. I don't think that Irish and Chin has any contractual obligation, the way the structure is set up, to do anything for the sound
afterwards.
Yeah, you get a trophy.
Yes.
Okay. If Chin likes you and maybe you're American and you're dynamic and your qualities, quote unquote, then he'll promote you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Shots fired.
Well, we all know Chin wanted dynamic to win. That would have been perfect for his whole vision. Because we're intelligent sound clash people. You can't fool me. Bottom line, that's what he needed. And now the world clash concept, we know this already. It's like Canada is not a good look for world clash anymore. He needs to take that concept and go somewhere else. Because we're kicking the Americans' asses in terms of it doesn't matter how you win. At the end of the day, nobody remembers who comes in second, okay? So they can call bias if they want.
Dynamics is making a lot of noise. So
when you look at the list of champions in 10 years, you're not going to remember Dynamics' name. Nobody remembers who comes in second. So right now it's fresh and news. It's 6 months from now, but in the end, a victory is a victory, despite the controversy. And there's always controversy in Sound Clash. We know that already. So I don't know. I forgot the point now that I was trying to make. There's so many points to make, but.
So what do you think is a fair price that world class champions should be charging? Because right now that was the biggest takeaway from last week's show. Is Mystic was saying that they're not going to take a $1,000 or $2,000 show, and then I heard them go somewhere else and say they're in the 5,000 range.
Mystic needs management. That's what I think. Mystic needs somebody else to be their spokesperson. They're good at MCs. They're good on the stage. They're very entertaining. They're very talented, but when it comes to negotiating your value, sometimes it's best to have somebody else do it on your behalf. So I remember having that discussion with Rebel Tone after he won World Clash. Again, going back to 2002, some of you guys weren't around watching right now.
17 years ago.
You know what I mean? 17 years ago, right? But he had a clash in Toronto against Bass Odyssey that night. I don't know if you remember that. There was even a fight that night and sound clash and stuff, but it was the two sounds almost ended up fighting each other. But I said, Newbie, how much you get paid for that? And he said he got $8,000 in 2002. So it's all based on your hype and your value and how you're able to see yourself as a draw.
As a brand?
As a brand where a promoter can make some money. If it puts you in concert against Bass Odyssey and you get 1,000 people there and they're paying $30 each, that's $30,000 gross plus you get in the bar. So in theory you can say, you know what, that can work. So I think maybe some people are a little afraid now to say, what's Mystic value? How marketable are they? If I put Mystic up against a big sound, then are people really want to go and see it? You know what I mean? So in the meantime, Mystic just has to do what they're doing. They have to, this is what I wrote, which you read. I don't blame them for sitting out the season right now. If they want to sit out the year because nobody wants to step up and pay, in this case I said they should get $3,000 US. That's my opinion. If you want, because of the title alone, because you are the World Clash champion, you can't undersell yourself. It's you know what I mean? You'd be disrespecting your own commercial value. If Mighty Crown won, how much would they be getting? You know what I mean? So what matters before kind of is relevant now, but in this case it's not a Mighty Crown level sound, it's Mystic from Canada who nobody knew much about. It doesn't matter. You did something that was very, very difficult to do and the odds were very much against you, yet you rose up and you beat all those other sounds. You forget something for that. You're not getting paid thousands of dollars to actually win the World Clash itself. You got a trophy. So the rest of the food now comes throughout the year, where in the space of 12 months you might have maybe 4 major clashes, and when you add it up, if you get $3,000 each for 4 clashes, that's only $12,000 US. That can be the spending that they did just to get into World Clash or Canada Rumble alone. It would not be unforeseen for sounds to spend that kind of money. So again, it's not really about the money, but it's about the respect. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be a promoter who puts these people in a showcase, then you have to kind of understand what money could possibly go into that venture and then come up with a system that's fair to everyone. Okay. So that's why I'm a little critical. I think the sounds in World Clash should get a little more contractually. If a promoter can say, look, if you're World Clash champion, we're going to guarantee you that you're going to be on the boat cruise and you're going to have 2 clashes, and we as the promoters will take the responsibility of assuring you of that.
Didn't it start out as that? Because Turbo was on the boat.
Yeah, but nothing was written though. Again, if Turbo kisses ass and is a nice buddy and stuff like that, you work with Ricky works in Irish and Chin's network doing a radio show. All this, he doesn't get paid for it. You know, he wants to get American exposure. So whatever decisions he made at his own will. So obviously it worked for himself. Okay. But I don't think Mystic are the kind of people that are going to call and pretend to be your friend and stuff like that. You mentioned something about them being hard to work with. I don't find them hard to work with at all. They're just funny and opportune and kind of street-wise, you know what I mean? So you have to just know to deal with that kind of level of people. And
well, Tyrone's definitely got that entertainment factor.
Yes.
And, you know, he's one of the few people who I believe can stand in the arena with Polly and, you know, stand up there and stand up strong.
Well, so, the scene was boring. Before your show last week, I was complaining. I was on my phone with my brethren saying, yo, it's boring around here. Toronto boring. The only thing we have to look forward to is World Clash and Canada Rumble for the whole year. And American promoters coming in and doing that. Huh?
Isn't that your fault? That you've left the void in the city? And you're not putting on any more clashes
No,
here?
Ron, it's not your fault. You took your well-needed break.
Thank you very much.
Don't follow she. We're going to put it
Done
on you. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's calling you and saying, Ron, what is going on? Ron, why aren't you doing something?
A man can only take so much, yeah?
Why aren't you making noise in the city?
Well, here's how I look at it, man. I have put my time in and my money in, and I deserve a break. Okay. And also, other youths deserve to bust.
I'll give you that.
There's a whole opportunity right now for... okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the beginning a second here. one of the things that I'm getting credit for is for helping to pioneer the hip-hop scene in Toronto.
Right.
And it was the same drive, the same passion that I had doing hip-hop. And years later now is when I'm getting the credit for it. Back then I used to get fight for everything I did, but years later people grow up and they get credit. But I never understood why I was getting all this publicity until one of these kids came to me and they said, Ron, you know what, I grew up in Edmonton, and in Edmonton, the only hip-hop we got to see was Much Music or Rap City 30 minutes out of the week. That's 2 hours per month, per whatever. So in Toronto now, because of one person, which was myself, because of my dream, my ambition, my dedication, my promotion, etc., I kept bringing hip-hop to Toronto week after week almost. And now people have grown up and they say, wow, those were some special times, and it was because of you why I grew into and why hip-hop has become a part of my life, etc., etc. So I'm this iconic person in hip-hop right now. In dancehall reggae, there is room for somebody to start a promotional company. I don't care if all the sounds get together and put $5,000 in a pot and have a bank account that says this is the Canadian sound system promotional budget, and we'll come up with a system where, you know, we have a certain amount of clashes a year, et cetera, et cetera. There's so much illegal money in the city that someone should have organized a way to use some of that money to put on events. It shouldn't be up to me anymore. I've taken my own beating. Like I said, I've been in it for so long.
And like you said, you wanted your
someone
break.
else should rise up.
I understand, but now you've had so much people. Like you said, you were a teacher. You taught at York. Now, who has come to you and wanted to be mentored by you? Has anybody come to you and said, "Okay, Ron, you have all this wealth of knowledge. Pass the baton on to me"?
You know, it would be nice in theory if the world worked that way, but it doesn't really work that way. You know, people, it takes a special to want to be a promoter, to want to live that lifestyle. Usually you do it when the odds are against you, or, you know, because you need a job and you think promotions can make you money, or because you love the industry, the culture so much you want to contribute to it. So maybe people like that are special and they only come along once in a while. But to put your life on hold and dedicate yourself to promoting a culture and to being a promoter is, it's not something that anyone can do. Okay. So I think things should be done a little more structurally now. Instead of one man doing it, there should be a team. There should be an organization. There should be a vision. I've been trying to get funding for dance hall, but the people who give away sponsorship money or grants and stuff like that, they do it for Canada's recording artists who MC and who sing, but they don't recognize sound systems as part of the culture, part of the movement. So I think some of that needs to change. With the right effort, we can tap into resources that are already accessible to the rest of Toronto's urban culture, but it's not coming into dancehall culture because dancehall is still so raw and so misunderstood, and it still has elements of homophobia, which means that corporate sponsors are still a little resistant to attach themselves to it. But Buju Banton just came out of prison, you know, and he performed and had whatever 40, 50,000 people in the audience. Things can change. Definitely. You know, that's people. If you're passionate about the industry, and you have a vision, the money is there. You know, if your ideas are good, you can get the money, but you have to put in the time. So for me, I needed, as I said, and you understand me, I needed to refresh. I needed to step away for a little bit. And hopefully watch some other youths bussing with their opportunity now and seeing what they can do for the dancehall scene. I'm like 57 years old later on this year. In 6 months, I'm going to be 57. Think about that. I've been promoting since I'm 26, something like that. Yeah. That's 40 years, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, Ron, do you feel like the business, the Canadian dancehall business owes you for the work that you've done that you maybe haven't gotten credit for? Because for you to take away yourself and say, I need this break, do you feel like when I was there, I wasn't appreciated to the level and to the extent that I should have been? So, I take away myself and I'm gonna go and do it over there. So you had me and you didn't appreciate me. So now make us see what you can do without me.
And just to add on to what Richie's saying, even Zags came in last week or a few weeks ago and said that, you know, a lot of the concepts being used in World Clash and all the other clashes came from you. So do you feel like you're getting credit for these different mystery rounds and all these different things? Big up Scully also, because Scully came up with some of these things too. But do you think that, you know, they're talking about you in the way they should and giving you the credit to say, you know, I ran to this first and...
Yeah, there's something about dancehall that's different than hip-hop. In hip-hop, you have people who give you credit when credit is due. You know what I mean? The mentality is not as kind of backbiting, but if you want credit, get out of dancehall. No one's going to really give you credit unless you're one of the top 10 artists that are running things in the present instead of in the past. We're the first to criticize, the first to diss. For example, one of the things that we're famous for doing, especially in Canadian dancehall and on the online and all the fraternities, is bringing people down after they get up too high in themselves. Look what's happening to Mystic right now. If you look at all the online responses after Polly's response and Newbie's response, it's like it might have been a little bad publicity for Mystic because they spoke the way they did and they promoted themselves as if, you know, it's all about them, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want credit and you want to be loved and appreciated, I've learned not to ask for it in dancehall. I don't even expect it. I don't care what people have to say about what I've done. I don't expect any praise for it. I'm a student of dancehall still. When I came in, there were other sounds doing this already. All I did was try and tidy it up a little bit and put that energy behind it that I put into hip-hop. But I've given out life achievement awards, etc. You know what I mean? I've won a whole bunch of awards myself from having been on the radio, but Sound Clash will just keep taking and taking and taking, and when you're up, that's when they're going to bring you down, and that's just what we do, that's what you do, and that's what it will continue to be like. For it's in our nature to just, you know, it's like the crab in the barrel thing.
So what do you think that you created that is now standard in Sound Clash?
Well, I don't think I created, I brought in a time clock. I mean, there's a need for, there's a need for structure because,
Definitely.
you know, I think I brought in the whistles where I remember Chin saying, yo, in America, we don't do the whistle thing, you know, we do the horn thing, you know, so I think that was kind of part of the Canadian identity. I think I brought in a lot of...
The Dead Man Round?
Pardon me?
The Dead Man Round?
Yeah, I don't know if I invented that, but some people give me credit for coming up with ideas like that, but I'm not even Fully Loaded, that was not my name. Someone else had done Fully Loaded before, and I came in and I think someone said, why don't you call it Fully Loaded? So again, this was like Canada's Fully Loaded. So I think if more than anything else, I've just been a promoter who was probably the most unbiased promoter because I'm not a sound man. I don't have any sound that I'm managing. So when I do a Fully Loaded,
particular sound, but you're biased to Canada? Because, you know, everybody
I'm
says
biased
that Ron is biased to Canada.
I am biased. Okay, I'm a Canadian promoter and proud of it. So I vote for the Leafs, I vote for the Argos, I vote for the Raptors,
Well,
you know,
New York
Toronto
and our red
FC.
and
Anything from Toronto I promote. So
Right.
I'm proud to be Canadian. And so I love promoting Canadian talent. That's what I like to do. Put us on the map. Let the rest of the world fear us. So I have no shame in doing that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there, you know, knowing that you've been around and you see, is there an individual you see right now that you could say, you know what, let me invest my time and train them and bring them up where they can continue in my legacy and, you know?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I'm kind of a very selfish person in a way where I spend a lot of time in isolation, you know, in front of a computer or doing my, in this case right now, I'm doing a lot of driving and stuff like that. But the people who've gotten close to me historically has been people like King Turbo, because I had a recording studio and we spent hours in the studio, and it was a lot of the chemistry of working with them why I learned a lot of what I learned about dancehall. Even Red Flame at one point, they were one of the earlier sounds to kind of say, okay, you know, here's some of my records, like you've stepped over into the reggae arena now, welcome, you'll be good for the industry. So people probably knew more about what I was going to do more than I knew myself, because honestly, like, it's been a big learning curve. I got taken advantage of. I got ripped off. I got exploited. People try to jump me at least 4 or 5 times. The most bad man I know in my life has come from this dancehall scene. The most threats I've ever had have been from this reggae dancehall scene. And like I said, I'm Jamaican. I have no fear in me. So I've said a lot of things that just, yeah, you know what I mean? That ignorance is in me too. So I can relate to it all and I can understand it all. And I think I've been able to survive it all as well because I love ghetto youths. You know what I mean? I really do.
Ron, you brought up King Turbo and said you spend a lot of time with them in the studio. What are your thoughts on what has apparently transpired with them of recent? Even up to World Clash where, you know what I mean? We saw what happened at World Clash. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Is King Turbo still fighting China's favorite sound? See how I flipped the question now, Richie?
I'm glad you asked the question, coming. You don't get the problem.
I've heard trying to defend King Turbo so much. I'm like, she reminds me so much of myself.
Always. King Turbo for life.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think they used to be my favorite sound, but right now there's 2 King Turbos, you know? It's like, it's one of the saddest things that I've seen in modern sound clash, that the World Clash champions could not get along.
Well, it's funny that they came together at Dubs Half and Ice, and you know that was a big thing when it did happen because you know
it was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
You know, they were divided for so many years, and all of a sudden, Ron got the reunited King Turbo on one stage, and it was everybody. And I stood there and I had a moment of pride.
Pride. Yeah. So did I. But I know Andrew very well. And Slingshot, and I know Ricky very well from talking to him. I know Specs very well. And it's like Family Feud, you know. They're still not together now. I mean, Ricky, I don't know if it's Ricky that's going to Jamaica to clash on, what's the name of that clash that he's on now? It's some big clash, Global Clash or something?
Yes.
And the man called me and go, Ron, who I go? Ricky or Andrew? Which one? Which version of King Turbo? And it's together they are so powerful and so beautiful and so like
the dynamic duo.
Yeah, but it's one of the saddest things that I've seen is the demise of King Turbo, because personally I know that it would be better for the industry if they were together.
Right.
Separated, it's like Ricky only has half the dubs. Andrew hasn't given him everything, so Ricky can go out there and clash all he wants, but there's stuff that's being withheld from him, and there's been a whole brainwashing of the truth. The public doesn't really know yet what really happened between Ricky and Andrew, who's innocent, who's guilty, who is an asshole, and who is a nice guy. Like, there's so many dynamics of what's going on between those guys, but in the end, I was hoping that by now they would have resolved their differences. But you know, it's like a relationship where somebody got beat up and that woman is saying, never again will you ever put your hands on me for the rest of your life.
We know that, you know, it was a sad sight.
Bad analogy, sorry.
It was a sad sight at World Clash last year. You know, King Turbo dropped out first. You know, they brought on the lady.
It was karma, though. It was karma. Everyone had said they were going to drop them out first. Canada did that to King Turbo. All King Turbo had to do was play the way they did, and it was already scripted in the Massive to exit King Turbo first. Nobody was upset when that happened except for Ricky Turbo and the girl that he kind of exploited a little bit on the stage and give her all the blame when she never really deserved it. But, you know.
And China was upset, but that's okay. Yeah. We'll move past that. Yeah. So we saw Zykes host World Clash last year, and we saw Ajax host it this year. Do you think it should be a Canadian hosting these clashes, whether it be the World Clash or the Rumble?
Well, honestly, I give Zykes credit, but the promoter gets to make the rules. Okay. There's no law. There's no way that you should do things. You can do things in your vision if you're the promoter. You're the one spending the money. So Ajax did a really good job.
Excellent job. Big up Ajax.
And I thought he was, you know, the year before, Zykes didn't get an opportunity to do a great job because they kept holding him back.
Right.
So it's, again, that same threat of being taken over. We have so much talent here that they're not going to let all that talent go on the stage. It's like, do you know that people, a band who opens up for another band, when they sign their contract, they agree that the sound will be lower and the lights will be less. And when you see the last major attraction come on the stage, all of a sudden it's louder and brighter, and you see all these pyrotechnics and stuff like that.
You know, was that for those guys?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You kind of have to settle yourself and say, all right, this is just my place at this time. So.
Okay. So Canada Rumble is coming up.
Yep.
Do you have a prediction as to who the winner will be?
No, I just don't want Superfresh to win. That's all. I don't have a prediction. Climax is probably the friends that I talk to the most.
How can you say
out
that?
of all that.
Canada's defenders.
Yo, Double Six and I don't like each other.
Big up Double Six.
You know what I mean? So I'm just saying
Big up
it how it
Perfect.
is.
Big up the whole Superfresh family.
I'll big up
Just came off of the
Superfresh
tour
crew. I'll big them
in
up.
Europe.
I'll big them up, but me and him fight. Like,
So, okay,
online we
hold
fight,
on,
not
hold on.
physically in front of each other.
Okay, so that's your only reason why Superfresh shouldn't win?
That why I don't want them to win?
Yes.
Yeah, that's me exercising my bad mind.
Okay.
And he's allowed to.
Yeah, I'm allowed to. Yo, if Superfresh was here right now, they'd have nothing good to say about me. It's the same thing. But I'm not going to call him up and cuss him and go, yo,
Double Six
Star.
will be on the show in the next few weeks, so I'm sure he'll have something to say about Daniel Derrick.
Well, you know what? The whole Rumble lineup to me
Yes.
is questionable because
So there's Climax, there's Majestic Vibes, there's Superfresh, there's Contracts, there's Aggression,
it's
and
the
Sniper
weakest lineup I've seen for a Rumble in a while. It's a sign that we've run out of contenders. Okay, so whoever picked those sounds picked their friends, and it was not necessarily based on who qualified to who earned the right to be on that lineup. And that's how the event is scheduled. The promoters can do whatever they want. There is no qualification other than, you know, you and I were brethren, we
So
talk.
what hand do you think that Randy, Jill, Scully had in picking?
I feel sorry for Randy because,
Big up Randy Roots.
you know, Rootsman should have been on a Rumble by now. Yet they chose to take the money and work for Chin and put their sound aside. So now it's like, where's Rootsman? The Mystic is going to laugh at Rootsman, for example, now. And so, yo, we're the world-class chat. Where's your trophy? You never even tried. You never even give it a try.
Has Roots... Wow.
Who are some other songs that you think should be on Canada Rumble? Because you're saying this is the weakest lineup. So
Yeah, I
who are
think
some
we
songs
run out
that
of
you
sounds.
can name?
How could we run out of sounds and there's 7 million sounds in the city?
Just because there are sounds doesn't mean that there's talent. Have you not been listening to Ron?
It's not. It's marketing. It's marketing as well. There's very few.
You can't say that.
There's very few
Everybody's
marketable
gonna tell you
sounds.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Right? Nitro song?
No, we know. Yeah, we know.
Let them make their jiggy money, Nitro.
Yeah.
Stay out to the Song Clash because you know belong there.
Right? But Nitro's the
good
best,
over
right?
Nitro must have paid off Chin to even be part of the last
You're your
World
mind.
Clash.
I said no.
To me, the fact that they
You
were
got
up
paid.
there juggling before the Clash was almost like a disgrace. It was like, you
They-
guys are not true to industry. Why are you there? You're juggling sounds. Stay out of it. But
We got the
again,
call.
people need to make money, right?
But it's Irish and Chin are trying because of the Sound Clash culture and because Sound Clash is dying, straight out dying. Because every week we talk about this, and I said to them last week, I said even being world class champion does not have the same relevance and the same reverence
appeal
that it had 10, 15 years ago. So Irish and Chin are now trying to build their crowd bigger, and to do that they're trying to cater to the party fans that aren't Clash fans.
Yeah,
Because-
and to women. They want more
And to
women to
women,
come to the
exactly.
Sound Clash. So I'll give Chin a little bit of credit for ingenuity. I noticed, and I'll say it unbiasedly, that was a lot of women, more than I normally see in a
Nitro
Sound
was on the
Clash.
flyer.
And Nitro can probably take some of that credit. I don't think
We'll
that's
take a
the
lot of
reason
it.
why. I don't want to give them the credit. but realistically, when you analyze things, you have to say, all right, Chin tried a little thing, and maybe it worked. We'll never know, but there were more women there than you normally see at most Sound Clashes.
Yep.
So give credit where credit is due. You know what I mean?
So, just before we close,
Oh, we have to close?
yeah, you know.
Next time I'll come
What
early.
is your current relationship with Irish and Chin? Because I know you guys have had several productions together in the past. You guys have put on a Canada World Clash, which I also need to ask you about because the people want to know, who do you think won? But what is your current relationship right now with Irish and Chin, the brand?
Ever since that little thing happened in the chat room, which I don't know if some of you know the history of, where somebody leaked a voice note and me and Tasha Roses were dissing Chin privately somehow.
Hi, speak for yourself, please.
Well, he cut off both me and Tasha Roses.
Okay.
Right? So I don't care what anyone says. I know,
Big up Miss
I know
Tasha
the
Roses.
history. So I don't have a relationship with Irish and Chin right now. And just like Mystic, I'm not a kiss-ass person, so I'm not going to be calling him, begging him for nothing. I paid admission to World Clash for the last 2 World Clashes. And throughout my history as a promoter, I've never paid to get into any sound clash. But to avoid politics and to say, I respect your brand, I just want to come here and take my pictures and do my video and post it online. And, you know, that's...
Well, the GVIEW team paid to go in too. So, you know, it's just a part of what's going on right now in the city.
If it was reversed, I would have called Chin and put him on my guest list and said, out of respect for you as a promoter, out of respect for Ron Nelson, he could have said, Ron, I know that the reason why Jill is doing what she's doing, Randy's a partner in this whole thing, is because of stuff that you've done. So because of your, whatever, your status in the city of Toronto, here's my guest list and you're on it, and bring another person with you. You know what I mean? That's just respect from promoter to promoter.
Here's what I've always said, and I always said it to Chris Stubbs too. You see, when you pay to go in, you can say anything you want to say. You see, when they give you a ticket, you have to kind of... So sometimes it's better to pay your way, because that way nobody can't tell you what to say, and you have your own opinion, and you can... Mind you have your own opinion regardless.
Yes, yes. I've always been a man that gets in trouble because I always say what I feel, and I don't let anyone censor what I have to say.
That's why you're here right now, Ron Nelson.
Well, that's why... Yes, yes. That is my legacy.
Right. So, moving forward, what can we expect from Ron Nelson Productions?
Nothing immediately. I'm going to watch prudently and see if this boring sound clash Canadian scene will become unboring soon.
Words are fling again.
Yeah, but it's true. Like I said, as much as Mystic might have, you know, kind of hurt themselves a little bit by bragging and boasting and stuff like that, we needed them to put a little fire onto the sound clash scene. You asked the right questions right from the beginning and set them away because you guys kind of stunned them, you know what I mean? So that's why they, look, Polly woke up from the dead. Rebel Tone we haven't heard of for so long, he woke up from the dead, you know what I mean?
I see, right now you're stirring the pot again.
Well, the sound clash industry in Canada all of a sudden is alive. Like a brethren told me today, Polly's response had like 1,700 people, you know, making comments and stuff like that.
Big up the whole GVIEW team.
So you guys started the fire here, but I've been silently again saying, you know what, Ron Nelson Productions, we're not doing a fully loaded. And because of that, only a certain amount of sounds have clashed after a whole year has gone by. Fully loaded has 30, 40 sounds on it sometimes. Where's like the 35 sounds that I haven't heard from in a year? So we need unbiased promoters who needs to recognize that Canada is a thriving sound clash location. It's not a fluke that we've been the World Clash champions, even though it doesn't mean the same anymore because the brand is watering down in front of our eyes. But it's not a fluke that talent has exposed itself. We are as good as the Americans. We're as good as the Jamaicans. We have the same level of lethality right now when it comes to competing on a world stage. So it's almost like we have nothing left to prove because we've won it 3 years in a row. No other territory can claim that. And this year it could be the 4th year in a row. What if that happens? That's going to stun the whole world.
Wow.
So,
okay, so with the millions of sounds left here in Canada, who do you want to see clash? If you had the budget, an unlimited budget.
Oh, I already know. Right now, the best clash that I would want to do is, let me see, I'll take off my hat for this. I'd want to have a clash called Champions. And it would be the people who won the World Clash Championship.
Here in Canada.
4 sounds: Black Reaction, King Turbo, Mystic, and Rebel Tone. That would be my dance right now. And again, look at the fact that if I was to hire those sounds, how much they would want to charge me. So right away, I'm looking at, just for the sounds alone, I'm looking at probably $12,000. A venue nowadays is like $10,000 and up, so I'm up to $22,000. Another $3,000 for promotion. That's $25,000. And I haven't talked about security. I haven't talked about a whole bunch of other costs that come along with it. And then in the end, you have to say, how much is the Canadian market worth? How much people can I get? Big up Chin again, because he has a brand that's internationally acclaimed. He can take it anywhere in the world, and because it's called World Clash, and the concept is, again, this is the biggest thing that International Sound Clash has to offer. You get 1,500, 2,000 people coming out paying $40 each. So if you gross $80,000 plus the bar, that's almost $100,000 that you have at the end of the day to pay off your expenses. When I do Fully Loaded, it's quite the opposite. You know, I can have 30 sounds and showcase them and do it over 3 nights and stuff like that. But people are paying $30 Canadian, and I'd be lucky if I get 500 people to come out to the finals. You know what I mean? The market is very fickle. It's very delicate. You have to understand how many people, after you do your budget, you think are going to come to an event if you give it all the hype and all the promotion after a while. So it's a tough market. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm ready to jump back into it yet. I have to kind of reevaluate things. And
so 2020 before we see Ron Nelson Productions again.
I'm an addict, you know, you never know what'll happen. I love sound. Madhouse come to me and go, Ron, what if we give you $20,000? You put on something and you just, you know, do the work and things like that. I've learned that I should always work with my own money. I don't want to work with no bad man money because I don't want to be threatened or shot or anything like that, you know. I want to keep it clean. So that
we've seen the things that can happen before, after, and during a clash.
Well, the clash has been one of the safest places to be. There's
in recent months.
It's a
recent
myth.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Probably now gotten a little fight, okay, but you know, whatever.
I know it's really a fight.
Whatever.
More words are flinging.
Big up Polly though, because you know he's Canadian and
he's taking it across the world internationally and stepping hard in their neck.
He's doing his thing, and like I said, it's good that he's gone from sitting on the bench with LP to being an active MC now who can go out and, well, LP sit him on the bench. That's a fact. Nobody can dispute that. It was like withholding talent. You have a tiger and you're putting the tiger in a cage instead of letting the tiger go out and kill people. Well, now he's got his chance to bust, and we'll see how good he is. You know, it's a good opportunity for him. And like I said, Rebel Tone is probably one of the most underestimated soundmen out there. I love that guy. He's a great artist, great producer.
Newbie. Big up Newbie.
Newbie is very, very talented.
Diverse. 17
years since you won World Clash, and you're still in the business. You're a man now, not a boy. So big up Newbie, and you know, big up Climax as well, Squidly. I have a lot of faith in him as well.
The whole East End, the whole Durham region. Climax.
The whole Canadian sound fraternity.
So you've called a lot of the names, but you still haven't said who you think should win the Rumble.
I just said who I don't want to win.
I heard that.
Yeah. Again, who I want to win may not be who wins, but I would like for Climax to win. I think they need an opportunity to bust now, and there's some good use. So I'm a little biased because I talk to them on the phone a lot. So I guess, you know,
Ron
because
okay, Ron, let's wrap it up now. So the question here from our viewers is: you had the dance with Turbo and Reaction many years ago that ended in controversy. In your opinion, who do you think won? One word. Or one sound. No explanation, just one sound.
There was a dance with Turbo and Superfresh that I'm surprised they didn't ask about that.
In the name of
Jesus.
They're not asked about
that.
They
might remember that Ninja Man.
Reaction and Turbo.
Honestly, I was so biased at the time. I can't tell you other than I thought Turbo was supposed to win. I was almost like a member of King Turbo. I bust Turbo's career as a promoter. I was a partisan promoter.
Yeah,
okay?
top fan.
So
you're number one.
Top fan.
Yeah.
Gone past number one. Top fan.
Yeah, yeah. I was that guy. So I was a little brainwashed at the time. Like even after Superfresh beat them.
So thinking about it in hindsight, besides the biased and besides the you're a part of the team.
I'd probably have to give it to Reaction.
Big up, you know, Super K and Mr. Blacks.
Yeah.
Holding down Toronto from then until now. Canada's most consistent sound.
The owners of Black Reaction didn't like me either. One of them almost wanted to box me down one time. And look around and see police. You know? Look around and see police and say, you think police, because police is here. Anyway, big up
Paul Watson and
Mr. Brits and the two big Rastaman.
Oh, Jungle City, forever.
Yeah, man. They didn't like me very much at one point in time. Because
well,
I banned
many
them from the
people didn't
radio.
like you. Many people still don't like you, but
Yeah.
it's never stopped you from doing what you needed to do and from being who you need to be in our community and in our industry.
Well,
so, you know, we have to thank you.
Thank you.
You know, not everybody's shoulders are that broad. You know, people cuss me all the time, but you know, so we love it and that's how we do it. And if they're not cussing, that means we're not saying something true.
And we have put in the work. You're here. You guys are here. You do this every Friday night. You know what I mean? You're putting in the work. Some people just sit and watch. And that's what they do their whole life.
True.
Just remember, something has changed in the sound clash world right now, too, which is the whole... I was talking to Problem Child about this today, but the superstars now are coming from the internet.
Big up the Dan Rankin sound, Problem Child and Footy.
Yeah, it's like the internet is now... We were talking about the whole thing with Polly and his skills as an MC, and he was very on point. He's saying that Polly excels as a talker,
and
as an
on any sound.
When he's on the sound with a microphone,
on any sound, he can pick up anywhere.
It's not the same. He's not as good on the sound as he is on the internet. So think about that. Polly did a 2-hour response, and it caused the most response from people who laughed like they were at a sound clash. It was more entertaining seeing that little war online than actually sitting in a sound clash for 6-7 hours.
That's what I'm saying. But between Mystic, Tyrone, and Polly, when you see them live and in person, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's great to watch them on stage.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you guys ever get the opportunity to see the two of them in one place and any one picks up the mic, the next one I go pick up the mic for answer back. And it's a great thing.
I think Polly is I love his style of MCing because he scares the hell out of me. When he wants to put on his bad man persona, I feel like he's a robber and I need to run.
Well, not just honestly, that, you know.
If I was ever in jail with that guy, he'd beat me up every day. You know. I like Polly. Polly's in his natural element as an MC because he looks like a bad man. When he puts on dominating, he looks like somebody that's gonna coming in your house and do a home invasion. You know what I mean? He fits the script. He can do a television show and be a superstar, gangster, gang leader right now.
And he's stepping in their neck hard across the world. So, you know,
and like I said, Rebel Tone is funny. He's so...
Newbie is feisty like no other.
He's feisty.
Like no other.
And he's multi-talented and he's hardworking and he's underestimated and, you know, like he's got his little fans as well.
He's got a thing going in for him too.
Yeah.
Garage Records. You have to check out them.
MCs are, it's a skill set, you know, like there's other kinds of music other than dancehall where you can just play music the whole night, but you cannot do that in reggae. The MC is just as important as a DJ. That's what's unique about reggae and dancehall. At first, when I stepped into this business, I go, why are they talking over the music all the time? Man, they're ruining it. Because I was that naive. But then years later, I recognized that, you know what, it's part of the whole platform, presentation. And I can go to a dance, and I used to play it a lot because I was on the radio. And now I realize years later that I should have had an MC because I could have bust if I had somebody talking to Mike who was as skilled. So I don't deserve that name anymore.
Well, when Ron used to bust the dance and drop the dub plates and on the people them head, you know, it was funny when he dropped that, you know, the one for Chin.
Chin, you're dead in the docks. Listen to him. In the docks, Chin go lose him locks. Him eat fried chicken curry.
That was the only time in my life I ever invested in dub plates. So that Chin again, in case you don't know the history, Chin drew me out. He gave me the impression that he was going to bring dub plates to kill me. So King Turbo said, yo, Ron, you need to make some dub plates and be ready for Chin. And they made that part of the whole presentation. And I was basically used and exploited a little bit, but it was a very I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life because I went from a total high feeling like I'm on top of the world to a total low when I'm standing on the stage and they're booing me and they're throwing stuff at me and the MC goes on mic and yo, don't throw nothing. Or the Chin was saying, yo, don't be throwing nothing on the stage, you know what I mean? And I remember Sammy from Mighty Crown. I mean, I'd never clashed in my life yet. I was so into it. I had the microphone. I went right up to the guy's face, talking like this and intimidating him. And as a sound clash, if that was Polly would have boxed me right there, right? But Sammy restrained himself like sound men should do. But then the next day when I talked to him, says, Ron, You know when he did that to me? I wanted to punch you in your mouth, eh? I want to punch you in your mouth. But he didn't. He couldn't. And that was, again, the only time I've ever really clashed. And I won't do it again.
Another moment.
But it was, at the end of the day, King Turbo won. And Canada won. And I was part of the reason why they won.
Okay, so Ron, are you still taking promotional gigs? Do you still do promotion? Do you still send blasts? Like, how do we get in touch with you? How do you promote? What are you doing now? How can the people make use of you?
Really, right now, all I'm doing is driving for Uber. Right now, this is...
Extra on your car, you're paying all your counseling.
Ron bust the dance to promoter, to teacher, to Uber driver.
So multi-talented.
I've been doing 10 things at one time for the majority of my life. In the last year, I decided for the first in my life to live stress-free like normal people.
I can't run for interview and
Uber,
I tell you about him have to drive car.
Yeah, Uber is a job that I can go and do whenever I want. I can make $1,000 a week, so it's enough to pay my expenses and not have too much stress right now. So all I'm doing is driving and meeting people and relaxing, listening to a lot of music, a lot of different kinds of music when I'm driving. But it's the most slack off period I've ever spent in my life where I'm underachieving right now. I'm not doing anything that is detail-oriented or challenging.
So I'm keeping a dance in the summer. I can't call you to promote my dance. Is that what you're trying to say?
Reggaemania.com is still my website. If you go and check it out, there's still advertising on it. Promoters still can buy a package there where I do their social media and do e-blasts and put them on the front page and stuff like that. But again, it's hard to be in two places at once. The people want me in the dances. They want to see me at events supporting other people's dances. It's like out of sight, out of mind in dance hall. If they don't see you, they don't do business with you.
Support. Oh, you mean?
But I can't do both at the same time. Man, I have to work.
Okay.
And I work a lot.
So give us your phone number, which hasn't changed in 17 million years.
Okay, so IG, DJ Ron Nelson, and email djronnelson@gmail.com. And my phone number, same phone number, 416-699-2900. Want me to say it twice?
Yes.
416-699-2900. But honestly, like, don't call me and waste your time. Seriously.
They say send a message and he'll see if he can respond.
Everybody needs help in this city, man. I've had so much people call me. People still think I'm on the radio even, you know, how can you help me? I'm an artist. I have these songs, like people from all over the world. And honestly, I can't help everybody. And right now I'm being very stubborn. If a man comes to me with an idea or a proposal, he better have his ish together because I'm not into wasting time right now. I need to, like I said, I'm in my mid-50s and I feel like I've worked my whole life. I've been a workaholic. I need to live like other people. Just even if it's for a couple of years, I just need to slack off.
You say you want a cowboy life?
No,
not to that extent.
I don't know if I would put it that way, but you know,
just wants to feel the breeze in his hair a little bit more.
Okay, so tell us what happened to Lisa West, and we're done for tonight.
Oh, big up Lisa West.
Big up Lisa West.
She's tuned in right now. Lisa West represented because she had it in her budget to go to Jamaica and see Buju's concerts, and she didn't even tell me. She kind of hinted that she was going to go, but I heard from her when she was on the plane, and I thought she was joking. Then the next picture I see is her in Jamaica.
Big up Lisa West and Sheeta, traveling the world.
Yeah, Lisa's my partner in crime. You know, she's a woman who has stood by me probably the longest in everything that I've done. So she's outlasted a lot of other people who've supported me, and it's a sign of a true friend. Lisa's now a grandmother as well, so I want to congratulate her for that as well, because, you know, it's nice to see life.
Definitely.
I was there when her children were born, and it was nice to be there still in her life when her grandchild was born. So again, it's a sign of aging.
Big up yourself, Lisa. I haven't seen you in a while, but you know, big up yourself. We miss you. And as we close for tonight, as Sean would say, if you can't be good, be safe. Congratulations to you guys, your crew. You know, even the people that are not here, because I was saying this before to Big G. I think this is a great platform, and people again in Toronto are guilty of not taking advantage of this whole show a lot more. People need promotion, they need branding, and why aren't they down here promoting themselves and branding themselves, and why aren't people advertising? We want some sponsors, man. We want
some people with some money to be running commercials. Big G's a genius with television
and
so
editing.
He can make your business look profitable and look appealing, and it's all about marketing. But this is a good opportunity on a Friday night to get your advertising out there and promote. And sound systems, recording artists, you are businesses yourself. So when I'm talking about advertising, I'm not just talking about Roots Canada and McDonald's. I'm talking about the sound systems that are out there that want to make a name for yourself. Advertise, that's the key to putting yourself on the map. So hopefully in a year from now when you watch the show, you'll be complaining about the amount of commercials that are running because money I make, you know what I mean? Invest in yourselves, Canada. Promoters, we need more of you now to step up and to help save the Canadian sound clash industry. And even though the bad mind and stuff will never stop, don't be mad at Mystic because they are young and doing what a sound should do, which is loving themselves, believing in themselves, and taking a stand and having some principles and saying that because we have worked to earn this title, we need to defend it, so we're not going to undervalue ourselves. And like I said, maybe one day we'll see Mystic versus One A Day. We'll see, you know, see what happens.
Okay.